Paul, a county final, third one for you now at this stage. Did it get sweeter as they come along in terms of the first one, the second one, and now the third one? And I suppose it's been twice lucky so far, but does the challenge get even greater as well each time when they come around? Does the standard in terms of rise to the top, in terms of the cream, do you have to be that bit better each time?
I think, things change as your career goes on a little bit maybe, and as you're playing a little bit more. Like the other two, I don't think you can compare them to now in any shape or form really, because there's so many variables in terms of in managements and oppositions and what guys are doing, like as well. You've guys that might move abroad, or guys are working in it around, or that just circumstances change for people as well. So I think I firmly believe like hurling is there to be enjoyed. It's a great thing to be involved in, and that's the way that I would look at it. So from that perspective, I think that I probably look at it a little bit more openly than what I would have the last few years, and particularly like getting to the first county final we got to in 2016. When I look back at it now, it seems ages ago. It seems such a long time ago, and to look at it now, we've a good lot of younger guys coming through, and it's great to be there with probably a few more years' experience under the belt.
I suppose, Paul, every year people go around and talk, well, 6 Mile Bridge are the top dogs, who's going to take down 6 Mile Bridge. Davy fully focused now, a tough year at Wexford, sort of getting the booze as well. Davy's going to be really sort of determined as well. When Aero sort of took the coup of the bridge, did that really open up the eyes for all the players in the club championship and say, right, this is open season now, the bridge are gone? Or is there sort of a mystique about 6 Mile Bridge every sort of year going into the championship, that when people look at bridge and say, right, when bridge go, it opens up for everyone?
There's no mystique about it. I think they're the most successful team this decade, and they're there for a reason. Like they've been, and they have and still have a really well-oiled, experienced team, and it is a challenge for any club set up, I suppose, to develop a little bit of consistency and also get a run and a bit of momentum and get a fixture that you target and get over a really tough quarter final against any of the teams in Clare. Like we've seen the results the last couple of years, there is really nothing in any of the fixtures, and when you see even the prime example being O'Callaghan's Mills knocked us out to get to the county final last year and are in that relegation group at the moment. So I just think, I know it sounds really cliched, like I've taken a game on its merits. Like the bridge has been up there. I think Aero were probably a ball away from getting there as well, or getting to extra time, and Newmarket had a chance as well to get to extra time as well. So it just shows the level of parity, I suppose, between the teams across the board.
Paul, I'll go back to one game in particular in this sort of championship, and it's the Cracklow game that's ringing a bell for me. I suppose everyone said Cracklow got knocked out of football. There was a disappointment for them. Ballyea in terms of sort of contingents, but that people say, oh well, Ballyea and Cracklow, they're both through, they'll finish first and second. How important was that game? Because it felt to me that there was an awful lot on the line for both clubs in that sort of game, and it sort of turned out that sort of way. Ballyea got the victory, obviously you sort of sprung on from there. Cracklow were defeated, and the next day they're sort of gone. So was that really a defining game for both clubs? It wasn't really much talked about in terms of, well, they were saying both of them were true, but did it mean a lot to the players?
Yeah, I think the way that the championship is, there's no doubt about it, that the fact that you have football running in parallel with the hurling means that every game is really important, because it allows you a chance to see guys, for guys to get another bit of momentum under their belt, get another game under their belt. And to be honest, like, we would have only played maybe max 2 or 3 challenge matches, that aside from the Clare Cup earlier in the year, which is very early on in the year. So we would only play 2 or 3 challenge matches. So therefore, like, when you get a championship game against the likes of Cracklow, both teams have qualified for a quarter final. But again, it was a great championship game, and that is worth more to you than anything, like, because it just gives guys a little bit more traction, I suppose, heading into a really tough quarter final against Kilnamona. So it's good to us, no end,
And I suppose, Paul, when you heard maybe the rumours, and you're probably aware of them from day one, that Cathal O'Connor might be coming into the Ballyea set-up this year. I don't know if you played hurling with underage with Cathal, or if that came about. What were your sort of initial thoughts? Were your thoughts, well, this is going to be a great athlete, he's going to be a great fitness, he's going to bring a sort of that positivity and that sort of professional, being a professional athlete, as you know yourself, you have to be in terms of the county football. Were you worried that were you saying, right, this guy hasn't played a competitive hurling game in so many years? Did that ever cross your mind that, is this going to be a scenario now where a big player is going to come into the club with a big image, and we're going to be obliged nearly to be forced to play him?
No, never, and that would never be the case either. I would find that, it's fairly plain to see if somebody can put their hand up or they can't, and not that they can't for any particular reason, but that's just the lie of the land. And Cathal came in, and even speaking to him the last few weeks, it's probably a breath of fresh air for Cathal, to come in and try a new game, and particularly a new sport, obviously, that he played years and years ago, but that there's a certain freshness to that he came in and could really just go at this and express himself, and know that he's not going to be shooting 10 or 12 points a game, but that it's one that he could really improve himself at. And he's just shown even when he came on in those couple of games early on, he was exceptional, like, in terms of athletic ability, and his hurling was always going to improve as the championship went on. So
I know there's an awful lot of leaders in the Ballyea dressing room, and I know from being in the dressing room, many of them before, I know how sort of passionate they are and how they can rally a sort of. I wonder, Cathal coming into that sort of environment in a Clare setup, he's a prominent sort of leader with his own sort of Kilnamona club. Did he really have to take a backseat, or were you encouraging Cathal maybe in the dressing room to express himself as well, if he had an opinion, to sort of get it out there as well in terms of voicing it?
I don't think it's a very open place. Like, we very much enjoy the guys around, and everybody has a voice in terms of that. But I think a lot of guys will come in and realise that this is a great opportunity, it's a great challenge for me to try and give it a go. I don't necessarily have to be front and centre here like maybe what he would be in Kilnamona or with Clare. So that probably breathed a little bit of new life into him as well, which is nice, and has been of benefit to us as well. So that's worked well.
Tell me a bit about Aaron Griffin. We all know this guy has been labelled with so much talent and sort of so much potential. The last year or two, he probably got the call up with Colm Collins. He got into sort of professional sort of lifestyle in terms of everything, his body built up, and obviously Aaron as well. It sort of all crept over now to his hurling. He was a player that was coming on for you for maybe 10-15 minutes here. It almost seems like this year now that Aaron Griffin is one of the first players on the team sheet. Is that a change of lifestyle that he's developed now, becoming an inter-county professional, and have you really seen the benefit here in Ballyea in terms of a new breed of an Aaron Griffin, really? Because we all know he was talented, but now are you really seeing that potential bear fruit?
Yeah, and it's a strange one to say that I was kind of involved in an under 12 setup that was coaching Aaron when he was when he was a good bit younger, but no doubt, inter-county setup, access to an excellent strength and conditioning coach in Rob Mulcahy, increase in speed. I know we had a conversation in the gym a good few weeks ago at this stage, and the fact of the matter is that Lee Keegan was marking Aaron Griffin for a good bit of a championship game in Dusick Park, so he's improved an awful lot, and it's been great to see, and he's been a huge addition then coming back hurling to us, so yeah.
And I suppose, Paul, lastly for me, 2016, it was a marvellous occasion. The whole place was lit up. You went on a sort of a roller coaster, sort of an adventure that went all the way to Croke Park. I suppose last year people have been sort of confined to their own kitchens, their own front gardens, maybe not even being able to visit maybe a next door neighbour sort of thing. An awful lot of funerals where only 10 people in attendance and sort of stuff like that, or people not being able to say their goodbyes in terms of locality as well. In terms of the local community, in terms of that, how much of a lift do you think that this will give the place? Would you think it would sort of equal that sort of lift, maybe unite a parish in sort of joy and sort of unity that the last 2 years has probably been a drag really, and filled with mostly sadness in people's lives?
I think COVID has been very tough on a lot of people, and there's been huge challenges to mental health in particular, and everybody has had their own individual challenges, I suppose, whether that be with work or with family or with health or with illness. And you know what, I've said this, and I've probably said it to myself more over the last couple of years, that you're doing something that you really enjoy, and that this is yes, it's a great game to play, but it's a game that you just enjoy playing, and I think that helps. And no doubt, like having the crowds back, when we first saw it during the summer at some of the championship games with Clare, and as it's moved on with Ballyea, and you can just see the bit of camaraderie with people and how they structure maybe their weekend around it. And
do you actually hear some of those Ballyea voices in the stand?
I think there's a big you definitely hear the voices, but I think there's a real feel to something. I know it can be hard to maybe quantify or hard to examine that way, but there's a real feel to people, particularly as it moves on into the winter in October, November time, that people look forward to the games and are putting that down as their weekend activity, which is a brilliant thing to do, and go to a game with other members of the community. So we'd be doing the exact same thing if we weren't on the field,